We are so excited about our guest today, Amberly, and she's a two-time best-selling author, a keynote speaker. She's been on so many talk shows, morning shows. She was at Times Square with her book launch, her latest book launch last year. She had a devastating motorcycle accident that left her with a 1% chance of keeping that leg, and she went through numerous surgeries, and she's to keep that leg and how she's rebuilt her life with grit and grace. And we are just so happy to have you on, Amberly. Welcome.
Oh, thank you. I am so excited and honored to be here, especially with this lively crowd. You gather some awesome people, John and Tanya, and I was writing your birthday down so I can make sure to reach out to you.
Noted. Thank you. Aquarius, anybody else out there?
I have it tattooed on my arm so I don't forget.
He never forgets. Amberly, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. We truly are graced with your presence today. Would you mind, for those who don't know your backstory, sharing, basically what happened in that accident and what your struggle has been, and it's led to a world of success. And we would just love to hear it from you and give everybody a little bit of your story. It would be great.
Yeah, and I want to start by saying just thank you again for having me here. And you might be sitting there going, well, I can't relate to anyone who's been hit by a motorcycle or in a motorcycle by an SUV, but I feel like we've all been hit by something, whether it's, your health, your business, your relationship. And so it's my intention to really share some things that have helped me and continue to help me strengthen resilience, have fulfillment and joy through the journey, especially as an entrepreneur. And, my life was so different years ago. Well, it was 2010 that my life changed drastically, but I didn't own a computer. I was not on social media. I knew nothing about tech. I lived my whole life on the dance floor. I was a professional dancer. And that's why when I heard you were going, when you were in, where was it, Deanna? That was in
Japan.
Japan?
Yeah.
Yes. That's why I was in Japan 6 times. I toured all over the world dancing and then had a very successful career in the fitness industry. Not to age myself too much, but I was doing infomercials with Body by Jake. If any of you remember Body by Jake, he's
Yes.
awesome. Yeah, so I was doing infomercials. My first music video was with MC Hammer. Can't touch this.
Oh my
Yes,
Oh,
that
yeah.
gosh.
was.
Oh my
I'm
gosh.
MC
I'm
Hammer lived
really
in my
aging myself.
hometown.
Do
Oh
do you
yeah.
still have your balloon pants or what were those?
I don't, but boy, do I have good
Parachute
memories.
pants,
Parachute
John.
The
pants. Thank you,
Parachute
thank you,
pants.
thank you.
Yes, the parachute pants. And I thought, wow, life is good. I have made it, especially coming from a small town in Texas and moving to LA to pursue my dreams. Um, and I had met the man of my dreams after kissing a couple of frogs. I finally met my prince, two healthy children. And it was a beautiful, sunny California day. And I hopped on my Harley after work. I had just finished training clients. I get on my bike and I'm just cruising down Ventura Boulevard. And when you're riding a motorcycle, I don't know if any of you are ride motorcycles, but there's just freedom in it. You feel the sun on your face, the wind through your hair, but you also have to drive very defensively. And I remember seeing this guy, he was coming out of a parking lot, and I was like, okay, he sees me. And then I thought, he does not see me. He shot out of the parking lot, and all I could do was let go of the clutch, try to jump off my motorcycle. I was T-boned, thrown 30 feet. And I remember just sliding across the asphalt, thinking, oh, please, God, don't let another car hit me. Because I couldn't tell. Ventura is a very busy boulevard. I couldn't tell where I was sliding into. I came to a stop and I looked down at my leg, and I only looked down once because it was just crumbled into pieces. There was blood everywhere. I didn't know it at the time, but it was because my femoral artery was actually severed. Um, and This is crazy, but maybe a lot of you can understand being in business. One of my very first thoughts was, oh, well, this can't be good. I'm going to have to figure out and have to train clients on crutches for a while. That was one of my first thoughts was, how am I going to keep my business going? I'm laying in the street, not realizing that I'm bleeding out in excruciating pain. Luckily, there was a guy that came over and he ripped his belt off, put a tourniquet on my leg. But people weren't running over because I guess it looked so gruesome. People were looking at me, and there was one lady that even fainted. And when she saw me in the street,
Oof.
paramedics got there right away. I was rushed to the hospital. And when I got to the ER, it was chaotic. The room was filled with cops because my husband's retired now, but he was a lieutenant commander with the CHP, and the news travels fast in the brotherhood and sisterhood of the police force. And so they thought maybe I was a cop that had gone down. And it was just chaotic. And I hear this crying like I've never heard before. And I realize it was my husband. I'm taped to the gurney. And then I finally get a look at my husband's face. I had never seen him cry, and he was hysterical. And I thought in that moment, I could be dying. And I yelled across the ER. I said, honey, I need you to get over here and be strong for me. And in that moment, it went silent. And the whole room was quiet. And he came over and held my hand. And I really thought, I need to know that he's going to be okay to take care of our two kids. And that's the last thing I remember before I had this beautiful nurse lean over me. Her name's Shaniqua. And I still know her to this day. And it was the first time I had some comfort because she said, we're going to give you something to make you feel all better now. They put me in induced coma because I had lost so much blood. My vital organs were shutting down. They couldn't control the pain. And a little over a week later, I wake up and, tubes in my throat. I'm trying to rip them out. And they're like, oh, I think she's trying to tell us something. And the nurse was like, oh, don't do that, honey, because I'm trying to rip these tubes out of my mouth. And she gives me a pad and a pen. And the first thing I write is, get off my tubes. You see, my husband was leaning over me, tears in his eyes, but he was cutting off the air and I could not breathe. And
Wow.
so then I said, don't tell Savannah. That was my oldest daughter, and she was on a trip for eighth grade and to the East Coast for school. And I had no idea I'd been in a coma for a little over a week. And then the next thing I learned was they said the doctor came over and said, Amberly, we are so sorry, but this is like a war wound. There's nothing we can do for you. You've got a 1% chance of saving your leg. And in that moment, all I heard was, so you're saying there's a chance. And I thought, well, we need to find a doctor who's willing to take that chance with me.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, it took an act of God, a lot of prayer, a lot of pulling strings, but I got transferred to another hospital, and surgery by surgery, 34 surgeries in total, months in the hospital, they were able to save my leg. And really, saving my leg was saving my business was important as saving my limb. I was on the phone while I was being transferred, reaching out to clients saying, hey, I might be in ICU right now, but third quarter, I'm getting out of here and we are going to finish the year strong. I had no idea just how this would change the whole trajectory of my life. And it has been the biggest blessing in ways that it's because of what I've been through. I've been able to teach others how to tap into, your resilience, your grit. And it's allowed me to be here with you this morning. And so I would love to share how, yes, you can strengthen your resilience to get through hard times, challenges, roadblocks, even rock bottom. But also, something I've learned is how important it is to spark joy along the way, because resilience is going to get you back up, but it's really having that joy that's going to give you the spark to continue going and to have fulfillment and to not burn out.
Amberly, the it's amazing. How did you mentally survive those first few days of so much? What kept you going?
Well, I think that I'm grateful that I grew up as a dancer and an athlete because I feel like that really helped me push through pain. But I would say what really helped me was I focused on one day at a time and what is the next action step that I can do to get through the moment. And so I'm not going to sit here and say I was strong through every moment. There was definitely a time where I realized that it was kind of the first moment when I had been transferred and I was staring down at my leg and it was in the middle of the night and I didn't sleep at all because I would just watch the clock because the nurses would have to come in every 3 hours and peel these bandages off my leg and change the bandages. And the pain was so excruciating that my husband couldn't even be in the room because I could not control the screams that were coming out. And I remember one night being up and I was watching this infomercial and there was this beautiful lady and her family and she was running on the beach and it was the first time I thought, wow, I had these thoughts of, am I going to be able to run again? Am I going to survive the next surgery? Is my husband going to love me? What am I going to do for work? Am I going to be able to walk? Like all these thoughts. And I was just spiraling down into like the darkness, getting very depressed. And in that moment, I thought, wait a minute, you have a choice. You can focus on gratitude, which is alchemy, and it allows you to uh, really think about all the things that you do have and what you can do, or you can focus on all the things you don't have and what you can't do. And I realized in that moment that gratitude really shifts your perspective. It's the quickest and easiest way to feel better about your circumstances. And I call it a practice that I do because sometimes I know when you're going through something really hard, it might be hard to focus on something that you're grateful for. But that's why I say I practice. And even this morning, I told you about the things that I do, and I know Bob here was having a hard time because he's having a cold, and he's like, "Oh, you've already been to the gym and walked the dog," and it's like I can't rely on motivation because motivation is fleeting. I have to rely on discipline, and I did not want to go to the gym this morning. There's times where I'm like, oh my gosh, I really have to take the dog out. Like it's 29 degrees here this morning. Don't really feel like doing it. But with the discipline, I know if I develop those habits, even with the gratitude, and I have a group of ladies. We call ourselves I call our group the God Squad. And I have an app that I use. And I think it's like $11 a year. And I'm not affiliated with this app at all, but it's called My Spiritual Toolkit. And it allows you to go in, there's prayers in there. It's a recovery app. I got sober in 2016. Um, but you don't have to be sober to use the app. And what I love most about it is there are prayers, but there's also a place, a toolkit, and you can go in and write 10 things you're grateful for. And I share that with the ladies in my God Squad. And it's one thing to think about what you're grateful for, and that really helps to shift your perspective. But it's another thing when you're feeling down and you can go read what somebody else is grateful for. That is like magic. 'Cause there was a day I was like beating myself up. I was like, oh, see, Amberly, you can't even walk without a limp today. You're in pain. The self-talk that I have, but when I go in and I see that one of my friends is grateful that it's her last day of chemo, I'm like, you know what? I'm not going through cancer. I can walk. Yeah, maybe it's with a limp, but I get to get out of bed when I was stuck in a hospital bed for so long. So little things like I say moving your body because moving your body moves your mindset. It moves your mood. It really releases endorphins. It boosts your confidence. And so by thinking about the things that you can do. And people ask me all the time, John, they're like, well, how could you, be grateful when you're stuck in a hospital bed and you're completely bedbound and have to use a bedpan and you can't work? Well, I was thinking about what I could do with gratitude. Couldn't get outside, but I had a beautiful view from my window and I could see the sky. I couldn't get back to work physically, but I was still writing exercise plans and nutritional plans for my clients while I was there. And I even had the nurses in the hospital, when they found out I was in the fitness industry at the time, they're like, well, can you give me some exercises? How do I get a better booty? So I was doing everything that I could do to be of service. And when you have that sense of purpose, it really helps you create a mindset of resilience, and focusing on what you can do. And so I still practice these things every day. And it might seem like a lot to move your body however you can. And I mean, I asked the doctors in the hospital if they could give me a pull up bar in the hospital bed. I couldn't get out of the bed, but I was doing pull ups to keep my upper body strong. And I did it more so for how it made me feel mentally to have a strong mindset. And so,
Well, it makes
my,
sense because you were in a practice. And just like you said, going to the gym, right? Some days we don't feel, you talked about it this morning, you didn't feel like going to the gym. You had to have a conversation with yourself sitting in the car. That's a lot to do with our business as well. Sometimes we don't feel like calling our clients. We don't feel like sending that newsletter, that email, but it's something that we have to practice and put into place. And I think that is exactly, it sounds like that's exactly what you drew from within yourself. I'm curious, you said you have this strong background in dancing. It sounds like an amazing background in dancing. But what do you think helped you? Because I'm sure there were days you didn't feel like going into dance. You didn't feel like working out that day. How do you think that background helped you in getting through this traumatic experience that you had?
well, the background helped me in tremendous ways. I have so many clients now that, one gig they didn't book, or one stage they didn't get on, or one rejection from
That's
one of
like
their
one listing that we didn't get.
yeah, yeah, like one listing that you didn't get. I think that being a dancer and auditioning, it was brutal because it was so cutthroat. You got no's all the time, but I always had the mindset, okay, great. That's one no. That means I'm one closer to the yes. I
Next.
yeah,
Yes.
I got so used to that rejection, and I thought, okay, well, this is a redirection. And what can I learn? Not why is this happening to me, but what can I learn from this and how can I do better? And I also went in and I actually used to drive the other dancers crazy because my love for dance and what I did way outweighed my fear of rejection, of fear or not getting that gig or what the choreography would be. And I would kind of drive them crazy because I loved it so much. I would go in and I was just happy to be there. And I would say hi to everybody and say, hey, break a leg. Good luck with this one. And that drove them crazy. But you know what? When you are so rooted in your why, and your purpose and who you are and what
And
your
habit.
values are, that everything that is meant for you will come to you. I just want to give an example of I just spoke at an event, and it was for a friend of mine. And last minute, she's like, hey, Amberly, do you think you could MC my event? And then I got there, I'm like, sure, you got it. Then she's like, hey, can you help me sell my mastermind? I'm like, sure, you got it. And so I was promoting her for like 2 days, and I had some people come up and say, oh my gosh, like I love how you promoted her event. And don't you have your own event? Don't you have your own mastermind? I'm like, sure. But you know what? There is such abundance out there. And when you have that mindset of abundance, what is meant for you will come to you. You just keep being the best version of yourself, and you are going to attract the right people, the right listings, the right opportunities. But it is so much about, as we say in Texas, there's a lot of Texans here, get her done. Like, stop making excuses. If it's important to you, you will find a way to do it. If it's not, you'll find an excuse.
Right. I love that. Yes. So you mentioned earlier that you help coach others on how to get through these hard times. Do you want to talk a little bit about that in your PACER program?
Yes. Well, I do. I love coaching people on I think it's important, just like you have put together this amazing group here, that you can come together and know that you're not alone in your struggles. I think if you can take anything from our conversation today is like, just don't do it alone. For so long, I thought that I had to grit it out. And I'm not good at a lot of things, but I was really good at the grit. I was always
One
like,
of our core values is collaboration without ego.
which is a beautiful thing and will lead to success for sure. I think that success is built on relationships. And for so long, I tried to grit it out. And I was like, well, when you've got grit, there is no quit. But I realized
I
that,
love that. Oh, geez, I'm gonna write that down.
but I realized because I was trying to do so much, so many things by myself, I didn't want to feel like a burden. I didn't want to be vulnerable because I thought that made me look weak. And I realized I had so many misconceptions about grit. I mean, I mistook health scares for heroic acts, stubbornness for strength, fear for function. And I told myself that this was grit and this was good. But what I realized is grit without connection and collaboration, like what y'all have created, is resistance. It's feeling like clawing your way to the top. It is so hard. There's no joy. There's not fulfillment, but grit with connection is where you truly find resilience and fulfillment. And so I love that you've created this community. But really, to get through challenges, this is something that I use still to this day, and I'll share it with you quickly. Is I needed a checklist of things. Like John has his alarm to remind him of oh, start recording. I needed a kind of a checklist to remind me when I was feeling down, when I was struggling, when I was feeling anxious or angry or resentful. A checklist, and I call it PACER, and it stands for perspective, acceptance, community, endurance, and rest. And perspective, we've talked about this already. The quickest and easiest way to shift your perspective is with gratitude. And it's a different way of looking at things. And I think that, like, even with y'all coming together and being able to share what you're going through, sometimes all you need is one person to say, hey, have you looked at it this way? Or what about doing it this way? Or one person to just believe in you until you can believe in yourself, or love you until you can love yourself, because I know I definitely needed that. And so perspective also allowed me to accept where I was on my journey, and acceptance is huge. I think that when we're going through anything and we're looking for some sort of transformation in our business, in our relationships, in our health, it starts with getting radically honest with yourself. When you can accept where you are and who you are on your journey, you can take the right action steps to move forward in your business, in your life, but it also connects you with the right community. And that's the next part of PACER. Community like y'all have created here, I can tell, man, y'all are fun. I hope I get to meet y'all in person sometime. If you're ever in Dallas in the area, please let me know so we can get together. Just because I would love to connect. I think that connection is what has helped me on my entrepreneurial journey. It's what helps me stay sober. You know, I was never a drinker or partier. And then when I was diagnosed after my motorcycle accident, I was diagnosed with an incurable nerve disease, which leaves me in constant chronic pain. And I was trying every kind of treatment. I mean, Eastern, Western medicine, flying out of the country to do radical treatments, and I could not get out of pain, and started drinking. And by the grace of God, I got sober in 2016 and got my life back. But I could not stay sober without connection to my purpose, my soul, my self care, connection to my higher power, which I call God, connection to my sober sisters daily, and connection to other entrepreneurs. And so, don't do it alone. Ask for help. Asking for help is what changed my life. And it allowed me to have endurance, which is the next part of PACER. And endurance, especially in what y'all do. with listings, with interest rates, with the market the way it is. Endurance is where your passion and your perseverance come into play. It's where you tap into your why daily. Like, why are you doing what you're doing? And when you tap into your why and ask yourself the right questions, you're going to be able to tap into your passion. But it's so important. I did not want to leave this part out. I used to want to call this to pace yourself through things. And I didn't even like the word pace because I don't like to pace, but I've learned if you want to be successful, that sometimes you do have to pace yourself and you need to rest, which is one of the most important things of being an entrepreneur is resting and taking care of yourself, not just self-care, because that word gets thrown around a lot, but soul care. What does your soul need for nourishment? And these things daily, because you can't pour from an empty cup. I learned last year the hard way. I'm stubborn. I was just going and going and going. And this is something I still practice. And I say practice because I need to be reminded. And sometimes when you really want to be resilient, you have to strategically plan times to rest and recover and restore so you can be the best version of yourself. And so I would really encourage you the next time you're tired or you're struggling or you're anxious or you're like, man, this is just too hard. I'm ready to throw in the towel. And by the way, if you're not ready to throw in the towel sometimes daily, maybe you're not getting out there enough because, man, as an entrepreneur, there are so many times I'm just like, you know what, I'm ready to just throw in the towel. But I'm really hoping that the PACER methodology will remind you of your resilience and to tap into that so you can really thrive, not just survive.
Well, Amberly, so much that you just talked about in your pacer method um, reminds me of our group, the 6 a.m.er group. I've never had a more, and I'm sure Tanya feels the same way, of a group that's more collaborative and uplifting and honest. And and that's how I met Tanya. And to have someone and others in your life that are honest with you, that can also lift you up, but also sometimes smack you across the head and say you're fucking up, you know? And
Yeah.
that's a good friend. A good friend tells you when you do that. If they're not telling you that so that you can improve upon it, um, then they're not a real friend. And but I know if it wasn't for this group to help me get through my wife's cancer, I needed, a group to lean on to be there for you. But thank you.
Well, and there's so much that you said in the PACER program that relates, as you said in the beginning before we even started officially the call, everybody is going through something. And every step in there, when you have, I mean, especially the community, if I'm going to the gym, I'll definitely get my ass there if I'm meeting somebody,
Yeah.
right? If you're doing it alone, it can be harder. And real estate can be a very lonely business, as can health and fitness. The rest is what I really keyed in on is you have to give yourself breaks so that you don't burn out. And, you can push and push and push at the gym, but if you're not giving your body the break it needs so that it can heal, rebuild muscle, rest up so you can do the next challenge. And it's the same thing with real estate. I'm sure it's the same thing with addiction, right? There's got to be a pace. I get why somebody who has so many goals, you don't want to pace because it kind of sounds slow, right? So that's got to be
Well,
a little mentally defeating. How do you get
yeah.
past that?
Well, this whole PACER methodology came because John, I think you and my husband would get along great because he is very
He's
straight
got
to
a
the
great
point.
name. He's got a great name.
Yes, that first off, he's got the best name, but I love that he gives it to me straight. There's no filter. He tells me, and the PACER methodology actually came from there was one night we were at the dinner table and I guess I really looked like crap. I was exhausted. I had done a motivational talk that morning, worked with clients, and I'm sitting there. There's homework papers scattered and to go food boxes on the dinner table. And I have my leg, which is like throbbing and swollen, propped up on the dinner table. And he looks at me and he goes, "Ugh, you really need to pace yourself." And I was like, pace myself. I was like, I do, I immediately got defensive. I like that he He calls me out and he really is a protector. But I don't like when it's kind of like when somebody tells you to calm down. I'm like, oh, now I'm really not calm. When he told me to pace myself, I actually got a dinner napkin and I started writing down everything I did throughout the day to pace myself to be able to do the things that I do because I want to do it all. I want to do everything. My mind is constantly going and I'm the kind of person that I need sticky notes like on my desk. Tell
I got
me
them
what are the
covered.
most
They're everywhere.
I need to be taught. I got to make that list because my ADD brain I'll be thinking about all these other things and I want to do these things. But if I have it written down and I'm old school, I have a written out color coded calendar so I can see. But I really need to add in my calendar. I will really put in there, this is my time to work out. And, I always say, when I've had people say, oh, I don't have time to work out, the old school fitness person in me, fitness is such a big part of being an entrepreneur. First of all, since you call it like it is, and y'all are straight shooters here. If you're working with somebody that looks like they don't take care of themselves, why would you trust them to take care of your business?
100%.
You know what I mean? I'm just giving it to you straight. But also, like, I tell people that tell me I don't have time. You know what? Snack on you. I love snacks. Y'all like snacks?
I love snacks.
I love
Can
snacks.
I have
And
wine
so,
with my snacks?
yes, you can have some wine,
I
have some
love you,
cheese, have
Tanya.
some chocolate with your snacks. But I say, you know what? Snack on exercise. So you don't have to go to the gym and work out for an hour. I have actually the dumbbells that I had one of the trainers bring me in the hospital. I couldn't get out of the hospital bed, but I have these little tiny weights that I was doing bicep curls in the hospital bed not because I wanted big biceps, although that would have been nice to have some toned arms, but because it made me feel like I was moving in the right direction. It was releasing endorphins to make me feel good. But I still have those in my closet right over here in this closet over here. Um, because when I have a day where I'm back to back Zooms, I will get up and do a little bit. I will snack on exercise. I'll go outside in the sunshine and do 20 squats. People kind of laugh at me, but I'm now known as the girl who's doing push-ups before I go on stage. And people are like, oh my gosh, they start videoing, like, oh, you can still do push-ups. And I'm like, how old do you think I am? Yes, I will be doing push-ups until I'm 100. But snack on exercise, move your body because it's going to move your mood and it's going to make you feel more confident. Do you know, and I'll just tell you this real quick. I get all excited about fitness because I did that for 26 years. But the one exercise in the gym that they've done like studies on it that boost your confidence the most, anybody have a guess of what that is? The one exercise?
Squats.
No, it's actually Bob's got it just
Jumping
about
jacks?
right. He's doing this. No, it's actually chest press.
Oh,
Chest
Che-
press.
Maybe it has to do something
where
when
you're going,
your
the
feet
whole
on your
thing
chest
about that
there.
book, Amy Cuddy's book, Presence. It's like the whole Wonder Woman or the Superman. I don't know.
I
Wow.
can see it.
Yeah. So if anything, do some chest press. It's going to
I
boost
love
your
it.
confidence.
Amberly, you made a comment about your husband Johnny and how giving you that honest feedback. I know for me, getting feedback sometimes from your spouse is not fun, and that you don't always listen to it, and that it comes sometimes more from a friend. And I
He
know,
loves the feedback from me.
yeah. And so sometimes Robin's like, tell Tanya and tell Tanya, I'm going to tell Tanya what to tell you to do because you fucking listen to her, but you don't listen to me. So sometimes it's better, it's easier from a friend, but
Yeah. Well, you know what? I've learned to live. I appreciate that he tells me things and sometimes I don't want to hear it, but I would much rather have somebody tell me the truth. That is so important to me. One of my standards is honesty. Well, integrity means so much to me, but even when he's telling me, oh man, you look terrible, or ooh, that outfit doesn't look good on you. I've made mistakes. I've pushed to the point where the pain was so bad, and it's actually in my book, the first chapter, this my newest book. I get so vulnerable. It was scary publishing it, but there was a time when I had pushed so hard. I'd spoken at two events, and I had one more live event to help one of my clients promote her new book. And I was ignoring the pain, ignoring. My body was trying to tell me, girl, you need to rest. You need to lay down. And by the time I got on the live, I could barely, though it was like a bad dream. I had such brain fog because the pain was so bad that it was like now shutting down. It was like, oh, really? You're not going to listen? Well, we're going to make it to where you don't even hardly make sense when you get on this call. So I get on this call and I immediately realized, oh, I am not well. Got off the call. I didn't even make it to the bed. I made it to the sofa. And the next day I had so many calls, people saying, are you okay? You do not seem well. And so now, I've worked so hard to do the things that I do, and you work so hard to build your brand. And if you have somebody, so now when my husband calls me out and he's like, you don't look well, you need to rest. I'm like, okay, I'm going to listen to you. It's important that you have somebody that you will listen to that calls you out. Like, important. Thank goodness, John, you've got Tanya who's like, John,
That's what
no.
I tell him all the time. Thank
Oh.
goodness he has me.
Yeah, thank goodness. I mean, I want somebody that's going to tell me like it is. I don't want somebody on my team that's going to be a yes person that's always like, oh, yes, 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 that's a good idea. No, I am open to criticism. I'm open to better ways of doing things. And I think it's important, to have those people. So I think, in this group, y'all are amazing. 6 a.m.ers I love that you are on camera even if you're putting your makeup on. I love seeing your faces. This is awesome. It's so energizing to have this group. And you know what? I think energy is everything and everything is energy. And when you can have a group like this, that you can see your face, it's just so energizing. And I love that Vicky's already out for a walk right now and she's still here with a big smile on her face.
It's definitely a great way to start the day, for sure. I'm curious, was there ever a time when you thought to yourself that I can't do this? And and when that happens, what do you do? What's the next steps to get you out of that funk?
No, actually, maybe I'm weird, but like I had doctors when I was diagnosed with CRPS, they said, you will never walk again. You will never work again. You are going to be permanently disabled. And at first, it felt like I was punched in the gut, but then it was motivation for me. When somebody tells me it can't be done, when I wrote my first book, I did not even own a computer. And I said, I have this idea. I think I want to write a book. And people are like, oh, that's not possible. You're the fitness girl. You don't have a college education. You don't even own a computer. How are you going to do that? Then I was like, well, then I'm definitely going to write the book. I wrote 90% of my book by hand, then found an editor. I said, what kind of laptop do I need to buy? Went to the Apple store, bought a laptop, did not know how to work it. I spent my whole life on the
Oh, there's
gym
a learning
floor.
curve for that, for sure.
Oh my goodness. I mean, it's a miracle that I'm on this session with y'all, have a camera set up, have lights, have a desktop now. But I went to the Apple store and I raised my hand and the guy was like, stopped the class. I took a free class and he stopped the class and he said, I've never had anybody in class that is not embarrassed to raise their hand as much as you. And I said, well, I need to learn and I am not embarrassed that I don't know how to do these things. And so there have
You
been
didn't need a
many,
computer for dance.
what?
You didn't need a computer for dance.
And I didn't, at the time, I didn't need a computer or I didn't use social media for my business, for fitness. It was all word of mouth. I had trainers that worked for me. I taught them how to run their businesses and I would give them clients. And so it was a big business for me. And, social media, I didn't even start until like 10 years ago. And that was mainly to stalk my oldest daughter and see what she was up to and what she was posting.
The best
But
reason to have social media. You should be on every platform your children are on. They're saying PSA for the
exactly.
group.
But you know
Yeah.
what? It is also social media. I could go on for a whole hour about that, how I didn't know how to do it, and how so many people say, oh, I'm too old for that or whatever. And I was like, oh, and I had my daughter tell me, you are too old for TikTok. Do not get on TikTok. And I was like, well, then I'm definitely going to get on
That's where
TikTok.
you should be. Absolutely. Yes.
And the first video I did it went viral. Got
Love
like
it.
650,000 views right away. And I was like, see there, I am definitely going to be on TikTok. But
Never
that's
tell me
the
no.
Well, yeah, and I'm not going to sit here and say that I don't have imposter syndrome. I do. I get scared to death before I go speak on stage. I was scared to death when I did my first TED Talk, and I had a client tell me something that changed everything. She said, Amberly, you made it through 34 surgeries. You can go stand on that stage and speak. So the next time you think, oh, I can't do that, or I'm scared to do it, think of the hardest thing that you've ever done and you got through it. You can do that. You can do the next scary thing. And I read this bumper sticker yesterday that I loved, and it said, but you didn't die. And I thought,
Amen. I love that.
and one of my friends printed a t-shirt for me and it says, not dead yet. And because I've been hit by a car actually 3 times, maybe my next book should be called Look Both
Serious.
Ways.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, but and my husband says to me, God just keeps spitting you back out. I guess you're here for a reason because you just won't die. So talk
You
about
left God
him.
a bad taste in your mouth,
That
Amberly.
sounds like your superpower right there. Well,
Yeah.
Amberly, this has been a lot of fun and a lot of great tips, and it's just been such a joy to have you on. We do have one little segment at the end. We call it our 6 at 6. And if you don't mind, we're going to ask you just some rapid fire questions, just to kind of just fun off the top of your head. There's no right or wrong answer. Um, to start with, if you could go back in time or somewhere in the future, where would you go and why?
Back in time, the first thing that came to my head was I would go back and be a different mom to my oldest daughter because I feel like so much time was stolen from me after the accident and being in a coma and in and out of this hospital and then to survive that only to start slowly killing myself with alcohol. I would go back and change the way I did some things. And I mean, I make a living amends to her, but that's what I don't want to get too emotional, but that's to go back in time. I know you can't change things, and I'm grateful for my sobriety because I still help other people get sober now, and I have my health and my life back. But that being a mom is the most important thing to me, and that still hurts my heart that that happened, and she had to live through that. But you know what? She's now at Yale studying medicine, so
I
my
was going to say,
accident,
you have taught her a different type of resilience that you'd never know how that's going to benefit her in her future.
Amen.
well, thank
So
you.
we all go through things for a reason. I believe that.
Hmm.
But thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Favorite book that you return to again and again?
Favorite book? I think The Four Agreements.
Oh my gosh.
Ooh, we've
Such
read
a
that one. Many of us have. If you
that's a
haven't, I
Yeah.
highly recommend
that's
it.
one of our book of the month that we had before our club. Yeah. That's
Yeah, the Four Agreements, and actually, um, I love the big book of 12-step recovery. I read it every week, and I read the Bible every week. But because in even if you're not in recovery, man, the 12 steps are so great just in helping you heal and be a better person. So all those kind of books I just love.
Love it. Favorite kind of ice cream?
Oh, I'm not much of an ice cream person, but I
And
guess if
dessert. Like what's your go-to?
yeah. You're one that
you know,
I
y'all
just
are
crave.
gonna think I'm so weird, but if I want dessert, I cut out sugar a long time ago. So like a sweet. I don't have. I have a chips and salsa kind of. That's
Yes.
my cheat.
Okay.
But I would say frozen yogurt. I was addicted to that for a while, so I would say frozen yogurt. Or I like something sweet for me is like a protein bar. I know that's like you're so boring, Amberly. A
Okay, so
protein
I'm on
bar.
a mission. Okay, so I love that you brought this up. What's your favorite protein bar? Because I too cut out the sugar as much as I can. Like it's in things, so you can't get rid of it all.
Does
But
wine have sugar? Natural sugar?
Yeah,
Jonathan, stop it.
wine is so full. It's like crazy how much sugar is in
That's why it's
alcohol.
just special occasions, really. But shh,
Daily
shh,
special
we're not going to
occasion?
talk about that right now. What's your favorite protein bar?
I like
Because
that.
I'm always looking for higher protein. My goal is like 160 to 190 grams of protein a day.
You know what? This one has a lot of calories. But it's the perfect bar and it's got like 300 calories, but it's so good. And I share it with my dog. She loves it, but it's that bar that you have to refrigerate because
It's
all the
called
Oh
the
yeah.
perfect
ingredients
Oh
are
yeah.
bar?
really
No, I like those.
natural.
Yeah. I think they sell them at Costco here.
Yeah, they have them at Costco, but
Yeah.
yeah, I like that one. Right now, I try to switch them up a little bit, but I really like to get that one. Also, it doesn't have like a lot of chemicals and
Right.
preservatives in it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is higher calories, but it is more natural ingredients than many of them.
Yeah, my husband the other day, because I eat those, he eats other stuff. He likes Kind bars, but he was eating them and I noticed he ate two of them. And I was like, dang, that's like 600 calories right there. And he goes, oh my gosh, I had no idea these had so many calories. I'm
They're
like,
like candy
yeah,
bars.
Yeah.
yeah. I was like, yeah, you just had two of them,
Right.
but I'm not counting.
Are you a coffee or tea person?
Both. I
Mm,
drink a cup of coffee every morning and I love tea so much, like herbal tea, that I even take it with me when I travel. It's
okay.
part of like my nightly routine.
Yeah.
I need a routine or a ritual. I like to call it a ritual, sounds better than a routine. But every night I love to light candles, get off my devices, have my cup of tea, and just kind of cuddle with my dog and hang out with the family because I need something to kind of get my body and my mind that to tell me, hey, you're ready to rest and recover now.
Yeah, that's part of the sleepy routine, right? That just
Yeah.
helps your body know that you're ready to wind it down. Okay, this one is one of my favorites because it's kind of fun. Who was your first celebrity crush?
I think my first celebrity crush was Rod Stewart.
Ooh.
Do you think I'm
Oh,
sexy?
Mavis is clapping
Yes,
over
that he
there.
was my first concert, and I was like 10 years old, and I thought it was the coolest thing to go to a Rod Stewart concert. But I will say, my husband knows that I'm in love with Brad Pitt,
Oh, me too, girlfriend.
Oh my gosh.
and he would understand if I was like, sorry, I'm headed over to hang out with
You got
Brad Pitt.
a free pass for that one?
A free pass, yeah.
I love it. That's fair. All right. And last, what are you doing right after this call?
I am actually jumping on a call with my mastermind group, my community, and I have a guest speaker coming in to talk to us about how to put together a successful virtual event. So when I say I love community and connection, I don't know the best way to do every single thing. And so I feel grateful that I get to have guest speakers that come into my community and share, how to do everything from PR to publishing to virtual events to, TV, podcast shows, that sort of thing.
Love it. Well, we want to say thank you so much for joining us on Connections Coffee Talk and
We want to
sharing
thank
your story with us. I think we have Mavis to thank for the
Mavis. Thank
introduction.
you so
Thank
much
you, Mavis. This has
for
been
introducing
really
us to
fantastic.
Amberly.
Thank y'all. Oh my goodness. This was so fun to see y'all. Best way to start my day, to hang out with you and see your faces. So thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. We have a little music.
Oh, one more thing, one more thing.
Oh,
So next month we have a big announcement of who we're entering. You want to say, Tanya?
oh, moi? Who
Yes.
might be joining us? I mean, I think many of you know her. She goes by Emily Bossert. Next month. So join us
Next
next month.
month
We'll talk about
we got
Woohoo!
Emily. So
Amberly,
thank
you
you.
need to be invited to come to that
Oh, you
session.
would love our Emily. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, well, let me know. And also, I want to say, you Texans here or anybody, because I have people fly in from all over. I have my annual event. It's called the Unstoppable Success Summit. And my gift to you is anyone who wants to come to that. I would be happy to give you a ticket to come. It's April 30th. If
We
you
just
want to.
dropped the link. We just dropped the link in the chat for you.
Okay, thank you. But y'all, I love this community. I love your energy. I'd love to have you there. Now, fellas, it is more of a women's event, but there are some brave men who come in. And if you're single, I'm just saying there's some good looking gals there.
Oh, I'm sure Mark Assad's going to show up now.
Yeah,
He's
well,
right
Kim's
there.
Kim's on this call.
Yeah.
Hey, but I want to congratulate Amber. She's coming to Grapevine because she is a Woman of Shine nominee this year, and that is a great honor here in this area. And I really congratulate you on that. So congratulations.
Oh, thank you
Congratulations.
so much. Yeah,
Thank you for
I'm like
sharing,
blown
Mark.
away that they're having me there. And I'm blown away. I'm so honored. It's kind of a big deal. I didn't even know what it was. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's so thank you. Thank you so much. Are you going to be there or is it all women? It's all women, I think.
It's all women, but it's put on by the House of Shine, which is located here in Grapevine. And we have some good friends that were nominees in past years, like Mimi Tran, who's a really good friend of ours who is very resilient like yourself. So, yeah.
House of Shine is amazing. I got to see it. I love it there. I want to do an event there, something there. It's amazing.
All right, everyone. Thank you. Thank you again. Oh, if anybody else has a recommendation, somebody who should be on with us, please share. And Amber, thank you again.